What if I told you there's a prophecy written by a saint in the 12th century that might predict the end of the church as we know it? A mysterious list that describes every pope up until the very last. Yes, this is the prophecy of Saint Malachy. But how much of it is real? And what does it mean for the future? Imagine the impact of such a revelation in an already uncertain world. Welcome to Unholy Secrets, the channel where we uncover the darkest and most hidden secrets in the history of the Church. Here, mystery is our guide, and truth our ultimate goal. Today, we dive into one of the most controversial and intriguing prophecies in Catholic history. The prophecy of Saint Malachy is a fascinating document that allegedly lists all the popes from the 12th century to the very last one, pointing toward an apocalyptic end. This mysterious list, filled with cryptic descriptions, has sparked intense debates about its meaning and authenticity. Moreover, the current Pope, Francis, is said to be the penultimate name on the list. What comes next? Could the next Pope be a sign of the end times? If you're fascinated by mysteries and want to understand how this prophecy might connect with modern events, stay until the end. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Together, we'll uncover the deepest secrets. The prophecy of Saint Malachy was attributed to the Irish bishop Malachy of Armagh, canonized in 1190. According to accounts during a visit to Rome, he had apocalyptic visions that led him to write a list containing brief descriptions of 112 future popes, starting with Celestine II, elected in 1143. The list consists of short phrases in Latin, often enigmatic, such as De labore solis, from the work of the sun, or Pastor Angelicus, angelic shepherd. These descriptions not only intrigue, but also raise questions. How could someone in the 12th century have access to such knowledge about the future? The very idea of a prophecy so specific is, in itself, an invitation to mystery. Furthermore, the figure of Saint Malachy was shrouded in mysticism. He was known for his visions and prophecies, which further reinforced belief in the authenticity of this document. It is interesting to observe how, over the centuries, this list continued to be cited, debated, and in some cases, feared. After all, if part of it seems to align with historical events, wouldn't it be logical to think that the rest might also come true? The prophecy of Saint Malachy, beyond its association with mystical visions, emerges in a period of the Church's history filled with uncertainties and power struggles. The 12th century was an era of great transformations for the Catholic Church, which sought to consolidate its spiritual and temporal authority. In this context, the figure of Saint Malachy gains prominence. Historical accounts indicate that he was known for his deep spirituality and prophetic abilities, being respected not only in Ireland, but throughout Christendom. Another aspect that strengthened the impact of this prophecy was its connection to the symbolism of popes as universal leaders of the Catholic faith. The idea that a visionary saint could foresee the papal succession for centuries, describing each pontiff with precision, added an aura of mystery and divine authority to the document. Moreover, the Latin phrases used in the list were not only enigmatic, but carried a poetic quality that seemed to resonate with future events, further amplifying the fascination surrounding it. Despite its impact, there are many questions about the authenticity of the prophecy. The document was first published in 1595, more than 400 years after Saint Malachy's death, by the Benedictine priest Arnauld de Wion. Many historians believe the prophecy to be a Renaissance forgery, created to influence the papal election of that era. Analyses suggest that the descriptions of popes prior to 1590 are highly accurate, while those afterward are vague and open to interpretation. But even if it is a possible hoax, why does it continue to fascinate so many? Perhaps the human desire to find meaning in patterns is what keeps this prophecy alive in our imagination. Skeptics also point out that during the Renaissance, the use of prophecies to manipulate politics and religion was common. Even so, the prophecy of Saint Malachy transcended its possible original purpose, becoming an object of study and fascination in later eras. Perhaps more than authenticity, it is the power of its enigmatic messages that makes it relevant even today. The debate over the prophecy's authenticity intensifies when analyzing the motivations behind its late publication. Why was the prophecy only revealed centuries after Malachy's death? This has led many to suspect that the document might have been manipulated or even created to serve specific interests of the time. However, even among critics, some acknowledge that certain descriptions are coincidentally accurate, which continues to fuel controversy. There is also the cultural impact of the Renaissance period, during which prophecies and apocalyptic visions were often used to influence political and religious decisions. The manipulation of sacred or mystical texts to justify actions or decisions was a common practice, but this does not diminish the symbolic value that the prophecy of Saint Malachy has acquired over the centuries. Another point to consider is how the Church itself reacted to this prophecy. Although it has never been officially accepted or rejected by the Vatican, it remains a shadow that looms over the institution. The institutional silence is often interpreted as an attempt to avoid debates that could undermine papal authority. Even with doubts about its origin, many of the descriptions seem to align with characteristics or events associated with various popes. For example, De Labore Solis, from the work of the sun, associated with Pope John Paul II, who was born during a solar eclipse and whose pontificate was marked by tireless travels, as if he were working under the sun. Pastor et Nauta, shepherd and navigator, often linked to Pope John XXIII, who was Patriarch of Venice, a city tied to the sea, and who guided the Church through a period of profound changes. These coincidences enhance the fascination with the prophecy, but also raise the question, are they merely creative interpretations, or is there some truth to Malachy's words? For many, each new discovered correspondence is evidence that something beyond human understanding is at play. Moreover, other popes have also been associated with curiously specific descriptions from the list, leading believers to perceive a divine or supernatural pattern at work. These examples fuel the debate and keep the prophecy alive in religious and historical discussions. A fascinating feature of the prophecy is how the seemingly vague descriptions can be reinterpreted in light of historical events. This demonstrates the power of prophetic narratives to shape the perception of events. An interesting example is Pope Benedict XVI, associated with the description Gloria Olivae, glory of the olive. Many interpreted this as a reference to the Benedictine order, which uses the olive tree as a symbol. Another intriguing case is De Medietate Lunae, from the half moon, associated with Pope John Paul I, whose brief 33-day pontificate was seen as a half moon in duration. While some interpretations may seem forced, they illustrate how the human mind seeks patterns and meaning, especially in religious or spiritual contexts. These patterns also reveal the psychological power of prophecies. The idea that an ancient document might predict future events is in itself a testament to humanity's capacity to project fears and hopes onto narratives that transcend time. The list ends with Peter the Roman, described as the pope who will reign during great tribulations, culminating in the destruction of Rome and the final judgment. Interestingly, Pope Francis is the 112th on the list, suggesting that he is the penultimate one. Does this mean the next pope will be Peter the Roman, or could Francis be a symbolic incarnation of this prophecy? Many speculate that the name Peter should not be interpreted literally, but as a reference to the Apostle Peter, the first pope. However, the idea of a last pope raises questions about the Church's future. If the next leader truly fits the description of Peter the Roman, what does this mean for the 1.3 billion Catholics around the world? There is also the mystery surrounding the end of this list. Did Saint Malachy foresee, literally, the end of the Church, or just a major transformation? The reference to the final judgment could signify either a catastrophic event or a paradigm shift in spirituality. This ambiguity is part of what makes the prophecy so fascinating. The figure of Peter the Roman sparks speculation, not only about the church's end, but also about the institution's role in the modern world. Some theologians argue that the name Peter symbolizes a return to the roots of faith, suggesting that the last pope could be a reformative leader capable of reconnecting the church with its spiritual mission. Moreover, the concept of great tribulations does not necessarily imply a literal apocalypse. For many, it could refer to the crises the church currently faces, such as abuse scandals, the decline in the number of faithful in Europe, and internal divisions over issues like the ordination of women and priestly marriage. These tribulations could be seen as a test of resilience for the church, forcing it to either reinvent itself or reaffirm its core values. With the church facing crises such as scandals, loss of faithful, and internal divisions, many see the prophecy as a mirror of current turbulence. Francis's pontificate, marked by reforms and controversies, is often associated with the idea of a cycle's end for the church. Reforms like greater inclusion of marginalized groups and debates over celibacy have caused deep divisions. These events, combined with interpretations of the prophecy, create a scenario where many believe they are witnessing the signs of the times. Are these crises a fulfillment of the prophecy, or merely reflections of the inevitable changes within a millennia-old institution? Furthermore, the reforms promoted by Francis have generated both support and resistance within the church. This duality reflects the tension between tradition and modernity, something that can also be seen as part of the end times described by Saint Malachy. But is this truly the end or the beginning of something new? The impact of Saint Malachy's prophecy on the modern church is undeniable. Even those who reject its authenticity acknowledge that it reflects deep anxieties about the institution's future. In an increasingly secularized world where the authority of religious institutions is frequently questioned, the idea of a last pope resonates as a warning that nothing is permanent. Moreover, the prophecy's popularity in contemporary culture, including books, documentaries, and online discussions, demonstrates how it continues to capture people's imagination. For many, it is not just a historical artifact, but a lens through which to interpret the challenges and opportunities faced by the church today. While many view the prophecy of Saint Malachy as a literal document predicting the papal succession, some scholars and theologians suggest a completely different interpretation. For these analysts, the prophecy might not be a list of predictions, but rather a veiled critique of the papacy and the very power structure of the Catholic Church. From this perspective, the cryptic descriptions assigned to each pope would not merely be symbolic phrases, but encoded messages meant to highlight the flaws, crises, and challenges faced by the Church in each era. For instance, the description Pastor Angelicus, attributed to Pope Pius XII, could be seen as a bitter irony considering the criticism he received for his stance during World War II. Similarly, other descriptions could be interpreted as commentary on the controversial political and spiritual decisions of each pontificate. Another intriguing possibility is that the prophecy serves as a spiritual metaphor for the decline and renewal of faith. In this context, Peter the Roman, the last pope, might not symbolize an individual, but the Church's return to its apostolic roots. Thus, the idea of great tribulations could be read as a period of purification and transformation, where the Church, after facing internal and external crises, would be reborn stronger and more authentic. Additionally, some suggest that the prophecy was not written to predict the future, but to provoke reflection among the faithful. The idea of an imminent end for the Church could be interpreted as a call to conversion, an invitation for both leaders and followers to reassess their faith and spiritual commitments. This approach places less emphasis on the historical accuracy of the prophecy and more on its moral and spiritual impact. Another fascinating alternative interpretation is that the prophecy might have been a psychological tool to keep the faithful vigilant and obedient. The fear of the end or a catastrophic collapse is a powerful mechanism that, throughout history, has been used to unite and mobilize groups of people. In this sense, Saint Malachy's prophecy could have served as a constant reminder that the papacy, and, by extension, the Church, is always under attack, whether from external forces or internal threats. Finally, some see the prophecy as an attempt to redefine the papacy during times of crisis. It could be a way of affirming that, despite difficulties, the apostolic succession remains intact, forming an unbreakable chain that connects the faithful across time. This interpretation transforms the prophecy into a message of hope, suggesting that even in the face of chaos, the Church will endure, albeit transformed. Regardless of its authenticity, the prophecy of Saint Malachy continues to captivate the imagination of both believers and skeptics around the world. It serves as a reminder of the power of apocalyptic narratives and how they reflect the fears and hopes of each era. Are we living through the final chapters of this story, or are we merely reinterpreting an ancient myth? The fact is, true or not, this prophecy forces us to reflect on the transience of human institutions, including the Catholic Church itself. While some see it as a warning of the end times, others view it as an opportunity for spiritual renewal and self-criticism. The fate of the last pope, whether it is Peter Romanus or another leader, remains shrouded in mystery. But while the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear. The prophecy of Saint Malachy will not lose its power to fascinate, challenge, and provoke heated debates. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to watch the next video that YouTube is recommending to you. It may answer questions you didn't even know you had. See you there.